afternoon and welcome to the 32nd version of Beyond the Green Room. On this first full day of spring, we hear Cole Porter music and all is well in the world. I happen to like New York, and my three guests today happen to like New York, I think. And I'm very excited about today's show. I have three guests who are not only wonderful and renowned actors, but cabaret artists and award-winning cabaret artists. They have fabulous new recordings and videos that we want to talk about. So I would like to bring them on now. This is a little unusual for me because I usually have people who are old friends. I have the first guest I will bring on is an old friend. Please welcome Lisa St. Loup. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I could hear you when you were Lisa Rothhauser, and now I can hear you as Lisa St. Loup. But we are old friends, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But I want to bring on my two new friends who I just met about 20 minutes ago. Please welcome a Broadway star, a cabaret artist who's, I think, won 13 MAC Awards. 13 is my lucky number. So I'm very happy to have her with us today, the beautiful and very warm Karen Mason.
Hello.
Hello.
It's a gorgeous day here in New York.
Yes, it is. And we're inside, but
yeah,
we'll make up for that. We'll make our own sunshine inside.
Perfect.
Great. I want to bring on the one and only gentleman on our panel today. He is someone that I just saw perform a few weeks ago on Piano Bar Live, and I knew we just had to have him on. He's also a big fan of Karen Mason. So without further ado, please welcome Nicolas King.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, you just told me that you are not in New York today. Where are you broadcasting from?
No, I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. I just landed about an hour ago, and I've been up since the crack of dawn, and I got to where I'm here, and I'm set up, and it's just as sunshiny and beautiful here. So
good. Yeah. Well, you look fresh as a daisy. I was going to make that old hoary joke about
it's a
you
filter.
just flew in and boy are your arms tired. But now I did it. So now it's over and we're done with that.
It's a filter that they put on. Yeah.
I usually start the show by asking each one of our guests how we know each other, and that's a little unfair to the two of you. So I'll just pull the rug out from underneath you and tell you how I know your talent initially. But I'll start with Lisa and let everybody know, how did we meet? How did we first know each other?
Well, we first came about knowing each other in the producer's second national tour together, which was a joy and crazy pants and amazing and wow. Like, it feels like a long time ago, and it was a long time ago.
Well, in a way, seems like last week, but then it seems like a lifetime has gone by. You've done an awful lot of creative and personal changes in your life since then, and I guess I have too. I don't know it. I feel like I blinked and all those years went by, but
they did, David. They
did. We used to. We were both very anxious about being on the road for a long time, and our first stop was Boston. And I remember we tried to go home every time on the weekend. We drove a couple of times, and I used to take the Chinatown bus from.
Me too. Yeah.
That we would have a nighttime show on Sunday night and race down from our hotel or the Colonial Theater to get on this Chinatown bus that I think cost about $8.50 or something like that, and right. You could get from Chinatown, Boston to Chinatown, New York in about 30 minutes. I don't know how they did it.
They did it. It was magic. It was the magic school bus.
And they used to call it the chicken bus because there would be people who were carrying live animals on the bus. And it was kind of scary. But anyway, it got us home and got us back to Boston in time for our show on Tuesday night. So by
the skin of our teeth, yes. Yeah, I remember running back to save our relationships just to make sure that those were kept intact. You won and I lost.
Well, he's on the other side of this wall turning the knobs, so we have to all be very good to him.
We
I
love
know,
him.
Karen and Nicholas, you know Tony very well from Piano Bar Live.
Right.
And I saw you both very recently on there. And actually, that is how I knew your performance, Nicholas. I said, we got to have him on here. So that's really my introduction to you. So it would be unfair of me to ask whether the heck you knew who I was beforehand. But that's, so I'll let you off the hook. Karen, I have to tell you, I knew you first through your many recordings, and and The World Goes Round. You sang some of my favorite Kander and Ebb numbers on that, and as
I was very lucky during that recording, during that show, to get the songs I got.
You sure were, but
Yeah.
you gave them some really luscious renditions.
Thank you.
We were
Thanks.
just playing through it last night, and I have to listen to the whole album again.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy Walton just emailed all of us last week and said it was the 30th anniversary of the opening night, and I can't believe it's been 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, my body realizes it's 30 years, but my mind, no, it's like 30 years. I can't be.
No, well, I first saw you perform live in your wonderful Star Turn in Sunset Boulevard, which was, I can't imagine the pressure that you must have been under to do that. And
it was fascinating.
And you were terrific, and you made it so much your own from curtain up on.
Thank you.
And it was astounding. But before that, I used to listen to you on recording, so that was the first time I saw you live. I have to tell you, I almost saw you do Madame Rose and Gypsy out at Westchester Broadway Theater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I regret to this day that I didn't make the full trip. But what happened? Yeah,
like halfway you made it. What?
Well,
he was on a chicken bus and it got stuck.
Yeah, that's right.
It was actually worse than that. I was on my way out on the train. You have to take 2 trains and a Metro North. Fine. Metro North, and then I was going to have to take a cab to the theater. We didn't have a car then. I was on my way to meet with the producers about directing the producers out there.
Oh.
And what happened was on my way, and Lisa Tissot said, and you can stay and see the matinee, and Karen Mason doing Gypsy. And I thought, well, isn't this wonderful? But I was on my way to the train station, and I got a call from her saying, look, we are not going to do the producers right now because there is a glitch in the contract. They weren't allowed to advertise it until a one-night stand with the non-union tour had passed through the area. So they couldn't put it on their brochure, so they couldn't sell tickets with that, and they couldn't announce it. You probably remember before your show that there would be a gentleman that got up in the tuxedo and tell everybody what. So and she said, don't come out. And so I missed your Gypsy, and I should have just kept going and said, you owe me a ticket to play Madame Rose. But so I'll always regret that. The postscript was that we did do the producers out there because they figured out a way how to put it on their brochure without violating their contract. They put a new Mel Brooks musical, which I guess you had to be really dumb not to know what that was. But a lot of their subscribers still kept calling and saying, is it the producers? Anyway, and the announcement by that gentleman, he would come out and he'd say, we're not allowed to tell you what the show is, but the producers of the Broadway Theater assure you it's a good time. So I ended up doing it. That
Wow.
late explanation was I apologize for having missed your
please. It was so much fun. It was really an interesting experience to work out there. That was the first time I had worked in 3/4, And you're doing everything's coming up roses at the end of Act One, and the guy sitting right down at your feet who's eating dinner decides he wants to be part of the spotlight. This is just absolutely hysterical. It is so crazy. So I loved working out there. I think it's really sad we're not going to have that theater.
I know.
Anymore.
There's a book that one of the critics who used to review shows out there came out with a anecdotal memoir of the.
Was it Pete Kramer?
No, it wasn't. I believe his name is Gary Chapman.
Oh.
He did review my producers, but that's the only thing he seemed to remember me from. I only did 13 shows out there. But I believe you are very fondly mentioned in that book. So it's out there for all the public to see now.
Yeah.
But
business.
I didn't get to see your Gypsy, but you've done it elsewhere too.
Right? Yeah, the first time I did it was at Sundance when it was really a beautiful theater up in the mountains. I think they stopped doing theater a few years after that. I guess we burned the bridge, but it was magnificent to do that show. I would do that show, although you have to become a total nun when you're doing that show, because vocally and emotionally it's so huge. It's a huge thing. But yeah, I did it at St. Louis Muni Opera. 13,000 people in that audience. That, no hand gesture too big for the Muni.
But I can't think of three more diverse venues. Is that
right?
And then those three. So Nicolas, you now have a very prolific career as a recording artist and a cabaret artist, but you had a long career before. How shall I put this? Before your voice changed. You, like me, were a child actor. My career as a child actor ended before you were born, but you did Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. You were.
I did. I was Chip the Teacup, and I just found out about a couple weeks ago that I didn't know this. I was the longest running Chip on Broadway. And I didn't know that. And I said, well, gosh, that's a cool. I wish I would have known that. That would have been on my resume for the last 10 years had I known that. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, it just means you were the shortest for the longest. That's all that means. Because, you outgrow the part. And, you have to.
I know.
And if you surpass 48 inches, you were done. The biggest irony of life is that as a fully formed adult, I cap out at 5'2". So if I just could have held out a little bit longer, it makes me laugh. They said you got too tall for the role, and I feel like that's the last time I will ever hear those words as long as I live.
Well, you're a giant when I see you on your videos, so that's it's your talent that does that as well. But I recognize that when I was in the Rothschilds, and there were 4 little boys, and I always was auditioning to replace the wrong size at the one time. Yes. So when I finally got in it, the show closed, and there you have it. But yeah, that we were watching a TV show about child actors last night on HBO that I'd never seen, and I'm happy to say I don't think I was scarred by those experiences, and you seem to be thriving now and have a wonderful career. So all at the time when we hear stories about child actors, they're so the tragedy of it, and but we came out the other side, don't you think?
I think so. Well, I mean, I don't know about you, David, or for other child actors, but I think a large piece of it starts at home. And when you have parents who have stars in their eyes and who are starstruck, I think you're setting yourself up for some failure. I think it's kind of lovely that the fact that my 2 parents are not in show business. They had no interest in show business. They had no desire for it. They'd be fully happy if I was stocking shelves at the A&P. They would be completely fine with it. Really and truly. And we would be sitting there doing these auditions, and I would see these stage mothers and these parents who'd be like, listen, if you do good on your audition, I'll buy you a Game Boy. And that type of stuff. And you better do good, and we'll go to Serendipity after. All this incentive and type of stuff. And I just remember, like, observing that, being like, God, I mean, who's auditioning here? Is it the kid or is it the parent? And my parents were the complete opposite. They'd say, what do you want to do later? You want to go get a burger? Like, they just could care less, in terms of the starstruck factor. And I think that might have been something that helped me sort of navigate through to see the balance that, yes, this is a lot of fun, but when you're a kid, it's a whole lot of pressure to put on a kid if there's pressure put on him. And I think my parents did a really nice job at trying to, like, give me other things to do so that all my eggs were not in that basket. In case things didn't pan out, I wouldn't be as disappointed. And so I really have them to thank for giving me a nice sense of, of perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I think a lot of kids that had bad experiences then either don't know what else to do, so they stay in the business, even though they don't like it.
Right.
Or they've been burned out and say, I don't want to do this anymore. So I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. So
me neither. I mean, I was like 3, and I videoed to prove it, standing on my ottoman in our living room, basically singing the entire second act of Liza at Carnegie Hall, that entire Kander and Ebb medley. I knew Shirley DeVore's Ring Them Bells inside and out, but that's, to me, I was performing, thousands of people in my head, at 3 or 4 years old. So to me, there was never any doubt that that's, you just know, when that's the path that you've got to take. That's what's in there, and you just have to do it. Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you guys made out better than Britney.
Yeah.
Well, I had the same agent actually as Britney. If you saw the documentary, Nancy Carson, the wonderful Nancy Carson Adler, she was Britney's first agent. Got her on the Mickey Mouse Club, and she was my first agent. She got me in all my Broadway shows. She got me a bunch of commercials. She got me television work. I mean, she's really fantastic. And I remember, when we found out that she was Britney's agent, we went, "Oh my word!" What's that like? But no, but I mean, two very different sets of circumstances.
Were you on the Disney show too? Were you on it with Lindsay Alley? No?
No, but I know Lindsay Alley. We did a Broadway show together. We did Hollywood Arms together, and I love
saw
Lindsay.
that.
Pieces. She's just a sweetheart. No, I was a Nickelodeon kid. I was not a Disney Channel kid. Beauty and the Beast was the only Disney project that I did, but no, I was a Nickelodeon brat for the better part of the 90s.
Wow. Well, Hollywood Arms, you were working with a lot of heavy hitters there. I had a close friend in that too, Donna Lynn Champlin, and
Yes.
but Carol Burnett, Hal Prince, all these.
No.
It's a shame you never worked with anybody who was anybody. And
well, what's funny is they both came to my. I was doing another show called 1,000 Clowns, and we had just gotten our closing notice, and I got a knock on the dressing room door, and I opened up the door, and it was Carol Burnett and Hal Prince, and most 10 or 11-year-olds would be like, "Who are you?" But because I was such a weird child, I had already read at that point both of their autobiographies. So I knew exactly who they were. And I was like, why are you guys here? I know who you are. And Carol said, look, I know you're going to be out of a job soon. Your show's closing, but I'm writing a new play about my life. Hal's going to direct it. There's a part in it that's for a girl, but we could make it into a boy. Would you want to do it? No,
so you said no.
busy.
Yeah.
great.
I'm very busy on the playground. I don't have time. Yes, thank you very much. And they came into my life on that same day, and they never left. And Carol is still a dear friend, and of course Hal just adored him to pieces, and miss him a lot.
Wow. Well, I just had a few very brief encounters with him, but I think you can't think of too many names who would be more beloved, especially in the musical theater, than Hal Prince. And another giant that Lisa and I worked with in the musical theater was Susan Stroman. We worked with her when she was probably involved with her biggest hit, The Producers. But Karen, you worked with her very early on with Scott Ellis. Did you guys know did you have an inkling of what was going to happen with her directing career at that point?
No. Listen, we knew that. How do you know that somebody's going to have this stellar career? You know that you're having a ball. Basically, we were all just so immersed in trying to learn it. And, when they started it, they didn't really have the show. So it was kind of like a very long workshop where we would get thrown a song and the choreography, and then the next week it was out. And so there were a lot of times where you weren't sure exactly where or who you were in the show. Susan was amazing. I mean, she and Scott worked together so beautifully, but she made that the electricity of that show. I mean, I've often said it was like, getting on the Candor and Ebb Express. You get on at the very beginning and you are taken for a ride for 2.5 hours. It was perhaps one of the most athletically challenging things for me. I mean, you had to learn how to play
roller skates.
Sorry?
Did you do the roller skates thing?
Oh, yes. I fell on opening night.
Ah,
Yes, Jimmy Walton. This is why I could have stopped talking to him, but I still love the man. But on opening night, I was standing, and none of us really knew how to skate. Jimmy and Karen Ziemba were good skaters. They're both dancers. The rest of us, not so much. So we, always practiced on our skates, and they always had like a 40-minute before rehearsals started of us just learning how to skate. I stood next to Bob Cuccioli, and I was on the end. And Bob, I would say we were kind of neck and neck with our skills of roller skating. So it was the time when we were supposed to be doing a kick line, and you're on the ball, the stopper of the front of the skate. And, we're doing this guy, want to go around the rink. And I thought, he's losing his balance. I am screwed. So he started to lose his balance because you go back on your wheels and you're just down. I went back. I started to go back on my wheels and I went boom, flat on my back. And Mr. Jimmy Walton, at the time, there was a really famous commercial, Help, I've Fallen and I Can't Get Up. And so Jimmy, when I fell, there was a silence because nobody knew what's going to happen or if I was dead. And so he said that, and people started to laugh. And we just got up and finished the rest of the song. But that was playing the banjo. I mean, there were times where I got, things that were on the bottom of the chairs, the stoppers, when we had to drag them on. One of them fell off and I stepped on it and it had these nails. So I did the entire song with nails in my toes. It was the stuff like that usually, listen, I'm a singer. I want to stand somewhere and sing a tune.
I hear that.
All of the moving around nonsense, it's like I was so happy they gave me colored lights where I could sit and sing.
Yeah, yes, park and bark. That's the thing that I found very challenging working with Stroh. It was exhilarating, but I never knew until I got into the show how much of that I was going to have to do.
Yeah.
And Lisa, you,
oh my God,
oh my gosh, you were one of the tap dancing
Nazi. Yeah, Hati Pati Nazi.
Well, I didn't know when I saw the show that I was going to be in all those other things. I thought, well, I play these roles and I cover the two leads, and that was that. But I had no idea that I was going to be an old lady and that.
Oh my God.
I can't imagine covering in that show.
Well, I have to tell you, when we did that, I will never forget this, when we had to learn all that. And I remember learning all the spots and the markers on the stage, and and I realize now, looking back, that was for our safety, because otherwise you were going to get knocked out. And I will never forget in Boston that I did something, and I think I was off by maybe 3 to 4 inches on one thing, and my foot caught in the opening number, my foot caught the ladder that somebody was doing the sign, and I fell. And as I'm falling, I catch somebody's pearls, which broke, and the pearls went all over the stage. And it was a freaking nightmare. And I'm flat down on the floor, face down. I'm like, oh my God. I had to get up. We finished the tune. They put Matt Vargo in an outfit to go sweep during the next scene because he had to get all that stuff off the floor. It was everywhere. It was so humiliating and awful. I will never forget it. And I won't forget Susan Stroman on the cards she writes on opening night. She says, Lisa, you are a dancer. Like, really?
She never wrote that to me. I will. I promise you. She
Me
never
either.
Wrote Karen, my heart goes out. I thought when I saw that show that I was going to do this scene and change a costume and do this scene and that. I didn't know that I had to double and triple and quadruple and all these other things. And thank God, a lot of them, we had that number with the walkers, which I used to stand on the subway going home after a rehearsal, going like this, trying to, people must have thought I was some, a crack addict or something, but because I was always in the slow class when it came to movement. But thank God they would move me off and I'd go and change a costume and say a few lines. Because it was really horrible, and I admired the people who truly were triple threats there, but it was very scary.
What's amazing about Susan Stroman, though, is that she really is so inventive. I mean, and that she appreciates the comedy, she appreciates the storytelling, and she loves novelty things. And there's something very exciting about working with somebody like that. Even for, as she's actually the one I stole the phrase from. Somebody, she used to call herself very early on a personality mover. So I stole that from her. So that's what I consider myself, a personality mover. But she can even make us personality movers look, like David, your personality mover. She can make us look like almost we kind of know sort of what we're doing.
No, I do appreciate that she used to say I made her laugh, but that was usually because I've made a mistake. But but seriously, I mean, the big difference and the thing that I think Lisa will agree with me on this is that what we envy about you got to create it along with her in the room. By the time we joined the producers, there were 4 companies and we were a part of a big machine and everybody had to do exactly what was set in stone. And that could be challenging sometimes. It was really very difficult. So I envy your being in the room where it happened.
It was exciting. Yeah, it was. It really was.
Yeah. Well, talking about commercials, we have a clip of Nicholas's early career. And I don't want to introduce it any more than I think it's self-explanatory.
No, which one is it?
Well, which one?
Yeah, that's impressive that you have to ask which one.
Well, there's so many embarrassing ones from. Oh gosh, well, I'll just shut up and watch.
Well, you can tell us a little bit. I think we need to just let it sit there and
buckle up.
Okay. Oh, no, that's the wrong one.
I lost my tooth today. I started my school play. I finally got an A. I got new glasses today.
Turn little moments into big ones. The new Little Love ice cream cake from Carvel. Ice cream and crunchies in a perfect family size and price. Get Little Love at a Carvel store or supermarket.
Surprise! Someone's special tonight!
With a little love.
Oops. What you looking for? It's cereal. One of those chocolate things? Nope. A marshmallow? Is it a candy thing? Nope, just a cake.
Kix has a corn crunch that kids go for. And Kix is low in sugar. That's what moms go for.
Oops.
Kix, kid tested, mother approved.
Why me? Yuck. Please, oh please, oh please, oh please. Yes! Talk about tacos? Thank you, Mom.
Lunchables tacos and nachos, the fun lunch kids wish for.
Nachos? I'm on a roll! Yes! Oh.
Lunchables, make fun of lunch.
Oh, you're so adorable.
Oh my God.
What a sad child.
Well,
my
you sort
God.
of made history being in the can on television. Not many kids get to be in the can on television. So,
Well, if you recognize that first one, the one you played, the Carvel, that was Hayden Panettiere was in that. I remember, and then she of course went on to do so much. And Spencer Breslin was the other kid. And Spencer and I always went up for the same roles all the time because we had similar looks as kids. And so, gosh, man, where did you find those? That's hysterical.
this is the thing. We scout around on YouTube, and
goodness.
That's how I know so many of Karen's recordings, because I'm a collector of musical theater. So, of course, the Broadway by Year series and the Lost in Boston. You've got cuts on all of those albums. But, sadly, I think about it and I say, because you replaced in things like Jerome Robbins and Mamma Mia, you didn't get to do the cast album.
I know.
We don't have. There's only a handful of cast albums that we had you on, so we're thankful for that. But we do have a fabulous clip of you doing Sunset Boulevard.
I was going to say, isn't my commercial when I was 9?
No,
I don't have one.
Oh, I got so excited for a minute.
Obviously, I didn't dig deep.
I would not be as cute. I was not as cute at that age as Nicholas was. So
well,
cute.
he's still cute. Yes,
He is awfully cute and wildly talented, that man.
Well, yeah. Well, you have this mutual admiration society. We will get to see. We almost spilled the beans on another clip that we're going to show from Nicholas, but I do want to show this extraordinary moment from Sunset Boulevard, and we'll talk a little bit about that soon afterwards. Here's Karen Mason as Norma Desmond on Broadway.
Need words, we had faces. Yes, they took all the idols and smashed them. The Fairbanks, the Gilberts, the Valentinos. They trampled on what was divine. They threw away the gold of silence. When all they needed was this face of mine.
You don't blame me, huh? I'm just a writer.
With one look, I can break your heart. With one look, I play every part. I can make your sad heart sing. With one look, you'll know you need to know. With one smile, I'm the girl next door. Oh, the love that you've hungered for. When I speak, it's with my soul. I can play any role. No words can tell the stories my eyes tell. Watch me when I frown. You can't write that down. You know I'm right. It's there in black and white. When I look your way, you'll hear what I say. Yes, with one look, I put words to shame. Just one look sets the screen aflame. Silent music starts to play. One tear in my eye makes the whole world cry. With one look, they'll forgive the past. They'll rejoice, I've returned at last to my people in the dark, still out there in the dark. Silent music starts to play. With one look you'll know all you need to know. With one look I'll ignite a blaze. I'll return to my glory days. They'll say Norma's back at last. This time I'm staying for good. I'll be back where I was born to be. With one look, I'll be me.
If only we had a full
Oh,
Wow.
well,
Now that's
yeah,
how you do
that
it.
was so much fun.
fun. I'm sure, but must have been tremendously. It's so much pressure to slip into those shoes.
You
And
know, by that time, I think that was on Broadway. So by that time, I had been out in Los Angeles with it, and I felt a lot more comfortable doing it. I still never, the first time I went on, I wanted to hear my name announced. And I listened, and when they said the role of Norma Desmond, normally played by Glenn Close, and I heard boo, and I thought, okay, not gonna be listening to that anymore.
yeah.
So, but listen, they paid a lot of money to see her. I got it. I understood. I mean, it might have hurt my feelings, but I totally understood. The hard part was, and I'm sure you understand this. Anybody who's ever covered, it was a shock to me that you don't get tons of rehearsal. I thought, wait a minute, we're going to get some rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
And basically they said, well, we're kind of busy putting this show up. So no, not until. So we started in rehearsals in September, the end of August, September. We opened in November. I did not have my first rehearsal until February of the next year.
Wow.
And so I thought, I'm going to either be bald because of nerves, or I have got to hire somebody to work with. So I hired a friend of mine, Justin Ross, who's a director, who was living out in Los Angeles at the time. I hired him to come work with me twice a week, and we'd go over the script. I thought, I am not going to be unprepared. If this is my job, is to be prepared, I'm going to be prepared. And mercifully, the people who were in charge of the actual show, the dance captain, Darlene Wilson, and all of the assistant musical director, Larry, they were all very kind to let me, take time with me. But that was the nerve-wracking part, was thinking, I'm never going to get a rehearsal. The first time I went on, I had never fired the gun.
Oh.
I had never, I got to ride. I'd never been up and down on that thing rides, that huge, big, gorgeous set on hydraulics, rode up and down. I had never been on that. There were so many things. And a lot of weird things happened, and you just carry on, It's
Well,
like,
you did.
like with the pearls, you just carry on.
The first time I went on as Max Bialystock, and they threw me up in the air on that garbage can thing in the opening number, I was so much lighter than who I was replacing, then I saw 6 faces look up. Is he ever going to come down? And, and yeah. So, but in a way, doing that track was a lot easier than doing what I normally did. So, but you came out smelling like a rose, and all the press and everything, and for all the big Hollywood names that had scandals attached to when they didn't do the show or they did do the show. Everybody was in your column, and justifiably so. You're one of those singers. Your voice is so laser focused and so beautifully placed in a very difficult score.
Yeah,
that you sang "I'll Be Me" instead of "I'll Be May."
May, yeah.
I wonder who May was, but so many tenors sing "On the Street Where You Leave." Leave what? What do you leave? I'm
yeah, but he is a good vowel for me. I'm a Midwesterner. He's a good vowel for me.
But that's a hard vowel to sing. A lot of singing teachers, that's why it comes out the other way, because the teacher would say, don't sing me. That it's too difficult for you to do that. But in musical theater, we gotta get those lyrics out there. So yeah, I just said I'm still here, which is what a lot of people sing when they sing "I'm Still Here." But it reminds me of a great story that Lisa, I wish you'd tell of the material you used to audition for the producers.
Oh my God! I swear this story is never gonna die. I'm fine with it. It's a good one. Even Michael Levine would tell all his students the story. Like every student of his for like 15 years has heard this story about how I booked the producers. But I wrote my own. I did a lot of writing my own audition material, and for the Big Cattle Call, it was a 16-bar thing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do mine hair, but be about my actual hair, and I'm going to go in with a bald cap. And I did this whole thing about my Liebe hair, and I'm singing to the wig, right? And I throw it down at the end, and I'm like, done. I'm not going to get this show anyway because there's nothing in it for me. And so, of course, I got called back. And then I had to deal with like making up more material. So my friend Andrew Byrne and I wrote the rest of it, which was like a medley of hair stuff. Like I'm going to wash. I can't remember this bald thing and then 2 more. And then, so yeah, I wrote my own material. It was about my hair because I'm so literal like that. And it got me in. And
oh, then, smart.
So that was fun, and it was one of the things that I think got me work and also didn't get me work by always doing things like that, because I just couldn't sit with what was. It's just not in me. I couldn't just, I'm just gonna go sing the song. Can't do it. I gotta totally mess it up, and it's not good sometimes.
But I bet they never forget you.
They don't. I literally went in for another Susan Stroman show. I think I sang "Gimme Gimme" and wrote the lyrics about it like a crack addict. That would never fly today because you can't do that anymore. But it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious, and everyone's like, "Okay, thanks." So yeah, didn't always go so well.
You're a funny lady, and you now. I mean, you did an off-Broadway show where you played one of the Trumps fairly recently.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. A year into his reign, a friend of ours, Danny Salas, he did a lot of directing of shows and did television stuff, and so he met with us and he's like, "Guys, I want to do this thing. I want to make it like say that the Trumps were the Partridge Family." And they're doing like a musical review, but he never shows up. And he had this amazing woman play Melania. She's hilarious. And so we co-wrote it with him. We did the music and some of the lyrics. He did the lyrics and the story. And I played Ivanka. And it was just so bizarre because in LA, when we did it, it was, people were still laughing, right? Hilarious. We got great reviews and everything. He wanted to do it in New York. This is about a year later. And by then, New Yorkers were done. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, this is scary now, people. It's not so funny anymore. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. The opening night was fun. And then it was like, wah, wah. So we didn't have the best run on that, but it was still, it was a great. We were doing something. We were doing what we knew how to do to show that we were against it without having to, march and do that. We did what we do. We write and we perform and we express that way. And I think that was what needed to be done. And it was funny. And then it wasn't.
And you move on.
You move past the pearls.
So your new persona, after you were no longer Lisa Rothhauser, you named you use your surname as the town where you came from.
I did, and I read that Karen grew up a little bit there too in St. Louis.
Yeah, I actually Florissant, Missouri.
Oh my gosh, we were near each other. I was in like Berkeley, right by the airport. Yeah.
Yeah, whether that was 1st through 8th grade.
Oh, your formative years.
Yes, that's right. St. Dismas Catholic School.
Lucky you. You went to a Catholic school.
Kinda.
You know what I love is that every week unexpectedly we have at least 2 guests who are from the same place, and they find that out, and then I say, I could take a bathroom break here, and after the show is over, they're writing down their contact information. So we make friends. So
I love it.
St. Louis, you're now a Brooklyn girl, though. Your backdrop even says Brooklyn, and I want a video of some of the stuff that you've been up to lately. I mean, I know we're going to talk about all that's up and coming, but this is a Lisa that I never knew. I had, you were a wonderful musical comedy performer, a triple threat, very funny as the old ladies and dancing and all of this. Then I come to find out you trained as an opera singer, and now you sing a totally different kind of music. You've got an instrument that seems like it can go anywhere. So I'd love to show this clip of your new music video. Tony just said to me, "Don't call it a clip. It's a whole song." Karen.
Oh God.
So it's not a clip. It is an example of your work, and let's look at it before I talk too much. Too late. Miles away from Lick Me, Bite Me, or whatever that character was.
Hold me, touch me, lick me, bite me. Well, you know, Karen, you're also from New Orleans. And that entire album was recorded at the Parlor in New Orleans with half the Neville family.
Oh my goodness!
Just amazing, amazing musicians out there. And two
Wow.
of the background singers were Celise Henderson, who is now Fancy Pants, and also Fancy Pants like you two are, and Crystal Monet Hall. So they're Broadway girls. Well, they were. I don't know about it anymore. But
when did you get into writing?
I've always written, but not hardcore about 9 years ago when I met my partner Tor, and we came out of the gate writing a musical called Stealing Time, which went to Nymph back in the day. We still had Nymph.
Yeah.
And ever since, we've just been writing and writing. We wrote the musical adaptation of Green Acres. That's Broadway bound.
Yeah.
Let's keep praying that Broadway actually happens again, y'all. But for me as like an artist and a singer in my heart, where I grew up and how I started singing, this, soul music and this type of singing has always been who I really am. And I've loved musical theater and I've always loved performing in any fashion. But I've sort of, as a performer, moved into this world, and we got on the Billboard chart with this album, and
congratulations!
Thanks.
It's fantastic.
It's interesting to do it and be in your 40s and basically be starting again. And I just want to, that's my goal as a woman in my 40s, to just keep doing it and letting other women know that they don't need to give up because they feel like it's past. It's not past.
Right.
You got to keep doing it, and you got to keep doing what your heart tells you, even though it's effing hard. I'm so afraid to cuss in here. I've almost said the F word like 10 times.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
We've not had any problems yet, but
wait, are we allowed or not? I should have asked this question before.
I don't know. There have been a few things that have slipped out.
Okay, I'm going to keep it clean, David, just for you.
Well, Nicholas, we talked about your early career as a Broadway actor, as a child actor in your commercials, but we haven't scratched the surface yet of this wonderful career you have as a cabaret artist. And if you saw that little boy, you would never dream that he would become a song stylist in the fashion of the clip I'd like to show next. You are singing here a Cy Coleman song with the one of the gods of accompanists that we all dream about working with, Mike Renzi. Mm-hmm. And I think you recorded this very informally during this pandemic time. So correct me if I'm wrong, but let's enjoy a little bit of you singing this Cy Coleman tune with Mike Renzi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Mike Renzi and Nicolas King. We are here to spread a little bit of positivity to you on a day like today. We know we could all use something to look forward to, a little bit of hope, and we figured this Cy Coleman song was just the song to do it for you. We hope you like it.
Indeed. Here we go.
Yeah. Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. You came along and everything started to hum. Now still it's a real good bet, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine. Just wait till it'll warm up as wait till I draw you near. Wait till you see that sunshine day. There ain't nothing like it here. The best is yet to come, and won't it be fine? The best is yet to come. Come on the day you're mine. Come the day you're mine. I'm gonna teach you to fly. We've only tasted the wine. We're gonna dream the cup dry. Wait till your charms are right for these arms to surround. You think you've flown before, but you never left the ground. see that sunshine place. How sunny can it get? The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come, come the day you're mine. Come the day you're mine. Come on the day you're mine. Come the day you're mine. Yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you are finding a little bit of positivity, a little bit of happiness among this pandemic. We hope you're staying healthy, stay home, stay positive, and stay hopeful. Have a great day. Lord.
No, come on. You can get much better than that.
That was like week 1 of pandemic when we thought this was a little 2-week vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my parents are in Rhode Island. That's where I was born and raised. And Mike Renzi is also from Rhode Island. So I knew that he was in town, and I called him up. I said, look, we have to form these pods. I don't want to be in a pod without you. So can we like make a pact and we'll be a pod? You'll be part of the pod, you know? We'll be the peas in the pot. Anyway, so we went over and we filmed that. Yeah, remember that was about week 1 of the quarantine.
I did the same thing with Steven Spielberg and Stephen Sondheim. They're my pod. They're working on projects for me right now. Thank you.
All the sounds.
But we're getting towards where we do our little intermission feature, where we're going to get to hear some wonderful music too. But we also ask a musical theater quiz question at this point. And Nicholas, you're not allowed to answer this.
Oh, man.
Because you're the one that will know all the answers inside and out. And
no, he's going to help.
Can I be a phone friend?
No, I'll tell you what. And we want to know more about this afterwards. Your mentor in your career has been someone whose birthday, 75, was last week.
Yes.
Liza Minnelli. And there you are working with Liza.
I love that picture.
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
And you know what, Nicholas? You look taller than she does. So don't I told you, on stage you're 10 feet tall.
Yeah, in our defense, I had lifts and she was in flats. So that's how that works. Optics.
As you all are, as I guess we all are, we're all Broadway babies, and Liza is definitely a Broadway baby. She's been in a lot of Broadway musicals. So this may be too easy for all the trivia buffs out there, but in light of Liza's 75th birthday, the quiz question this week is, can you name the Broadway shows in which Liza Minnelli appeared? And we also have a bonus question. What was the off-Broadway show that she did as her theater debut in New York? So I know you're going to get indigestion. So we'll wait until after the intermission. The intermission feature tonight is a rather unexpected song from Karen Mason from a show that she actually did do the cast album for. It's also an unexpected song from Frank Wildhorn because it's a very different style than what we expect from him. But here's a few minutes. It's just going to be audio. So if you can tear yourself away, just turn your volume up so you can hear Karen's rendition of Off With Their Heads from Wonderland, where she plays the Queen of Hearts. Enjoy our intermission, and we'll be back to talk about Liza Minnelli.
Off with their heads, it's the least I can do. Off with their heads, it's the only phrase that always rings true, never gets old, so I say to you, with conviction, off with their heads, it's my 1 real million. Everyone dreads what the Queen may say, though hats they may doff, it will be off with their heads. Ooh, I try to be, she tries to be even and fair, but as you see, I'm almost never all quite there. Noblesse oblige, my derriere. Sweet, when I demand It's really great. Almost stood here. I wave my hand, and all my courtiers appear. And when they don't, or if they won't, loud and clear, it's off with their heads. I don't care what they've done. Off with their heads. Here's my first and second rule. Number one, once you begun, well, it's so much fun. All together, off with their heads. It's a mantra of mine. Off with their heads. Here's my bottom line. And if you dare scoff, well, then it's off with your head. Don't need a Congress or a Constitution, for it's a foregone conclusion that every rumble has the same solution. Persuade, crusade, with a custom made, renewable, doable, unmisconstruable, stainless steel blade. Up with their heads, it's the least I can do. Up with their heads is the only phrase that always rings true. Baby, it's up, 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 up with their heads. Up with their heads. Up with their heads. Mama says, off with their heads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brava.
Every note I've ever had.
Well, it certainly sounds effortless, and it's such a surprise to hear a Frank Wildhorn number that sounds like that,
Yeah.
And if it only had run longer.
Well, yes, there is that. When we did it for, I think, like 3 years before, we were always doing down in Houston and Tampa, and they were always working on it. And then when they decided to move it, we were in Houston right before they decided to move it. And, I think this is a pretty typical story. Everyone decided it needed to be different for Broadway. It was a mess, but it was a fun mess. It was kind of a magical mess in Houston. And then all of a sudden they decided they needed to change everything for Broadway. So what should have been a lifting and just putting it on Broadway became a total revamping of it in 2 weeks. And so what was my character became not my character. And you just, it's like, how do you find what it took you 3 years to cultivate in 2 weeks, when you know that it's all just being changed? It made me very sad. It who knows what would have been the fate if, the Houston show just moved. Might have been the same fate. But I thought that show seriously, it was a mess, but it was so much fun. And I loved working. I loved doing that show. It was a birthing process, but once we kind of found it, it was a lot of fun to do. Great cast.
Well, I'm a great believer in, even if the show is not working or it's a flop, the performers that come off best are the ones that are performing it as if it's the biggest hit you've ever seen. And God knows that comes through on that souvenir that we'll all have forever of you singing that song. So.
And isn't that the hardest thing for all of us? I mean, seriously, is when there's this pre-word about, that gets out about a show and that it's not good and that it's not this and that there's problems. We all know the problems. We're not idiots. We know the problems, but we have to go out there and perform it as if, this is the best opportunity, and this is the best written thing and the best directed thing. And that's really, I think, where all of our talents come into play, is being able to do that, is to really go out with the conviction of, I'm going to go out and do my absolute best, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, we all shine it on, and that brings me to our quiz question.
This is so unfair. I can't believe you picked this topic with Nick on it.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
I'm
okay.
allowed to
I've
participate.
got his cell phone number.
Just text me, Karen.
So here's the hard part then. You said shine it on, or I said shine it on. I don't remember. I don't remember what I had for breakfast. I think somebody said shine it on.
You did.
You said it, David.
And that was actually the out-of-town title of one of Liza Minnelli's Broadway.
I know.
Yes.
The Act.
Yes. Which sounds dirty today for some reason. I don't know. The Act. And I think we can show that on Facebook but anyway, so what were the other titles? I know you're going to get heartburn if I don't let you do it, but go ahead, Nicholas. Tell us what are the other titles?
Well, shall we start at the top? We should start at the very first one. The very first Broadway show for which you won a Tony would be 1964, I want to say, or 5, in Flora the Red Menace.
Yes, and you sang some songs from that in And the World Goes Round, I think. Yes.
And actually, that's actually how I got to know those songs, was not from Liza, believe it or not. I learned those from Karen Mason, because someone had gifted me that album, and I listened to it like crazy as a kid. And so a lot of those songs, I was surprised to learn that Liza originated. And I went, oh, I thought that was Karen Mason's song.
Well, thank you. I steal from the best.
That was one of the Holy Grail cast albums that was out of print when I was little and collecting. And I finally found somebody that had a copy of it. And I used to play that cut over and over and over again, because it always made me cry. It always used to make me feel like opening night of a show, a quiet thing, when it all comes true just the way you planned, I think. So tell us, what are the other titles that Liza did on Broadway?
Are we going in order?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Show off. Go ahead.
No.
Please.
Just do it.
No, because you also actually, I think Flora was 1963, because then I think 64 was Best Foot Forward that you mentioned, the off-Broadway.
Well, actually, Best Foot Forward, I think, was first. Because Flora was 65 that she won the Tony Award.
Right.
Yes. Yes. That was the bonus question. You got the bonus question already.
I knew they were around that. Well, then the second show would have been that one-woman show that she won a Tony Award for, called Liza at Winter Garden, at the Winter Garden Theater. But that wasn't really a book musical. It was just more of a concert. Then came Chicago. She was Gwen's replacement in Chicago in 1975 for about 8 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
then comes The Act.
Yes.
Are we doing this? I feel like I'm Wikipedia all of a sudden.
You are.
Wikipedia, 1977, and then came, of course, the Rink, 1980. I don't know, 3, 4.
I think it was 84. Yeah,
84. And then there was, I think that was it until Victor Victoria, wasn't it?
See, now that's the one I thought people may not remember, that she did take over for a while in Victor Victoria.
Yeah.
And then she do her show Minnelli on Minnelli at the Palace for a while.
1999.
Yeah.
That's where I first met her.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she is your mentor. Now, how did that all happen?
Okay, well, actually, that was the first time I met her. The first time I actually, was in her presence there was at a show at Foxwoods when I was about 5. And she saw me sitting in the front row, and she pulled me out of the audience. No, this is true. This is so. I mean, she didn't know me from a hole in the wall. She pulled me up out of the audience. I was in like my old tuxedo, my little flowers, and then she sat me on her lap, and she sang Billy Stritch's arrangement of "Close Your Eyes" to me. And I have, it's so vivid in my mind, of course. But then we never spoke. She dropped me off back into the audience, and that was it. but I met her again later on at Manelli on Manelli, and then the real meeting came with through Tom Selleck, because I was doing the show with him on Broadway, 1,000 Clowns, and Tom knew that I was just a huge admirer of Liza, and he reached out to her, since Herb Gardner, who was the playwright of 1,000 Clowns, did all the artwork for Flora the Red Menace, so he knew Liza very well from back in those days. So Herb placed a call, and Liza, after the opening night curtain call, I walked, back into my dressing room, and I've got my shirt off, and I'm taking my clothes, and I open up the door, and she's in my dressing room. Tom had arranged for her to get backstage before the end, to be in my dressing room, to be my surprise, my big surprise gift. And I just, you think your mind's gonna explode. What is she?
Wow.
One of us must be in the wrong dressing room. What are you doing here? And then we connected. We just kept, crossing paths here and there, and then, very long story short, my grandmother, Angela Bakari, became her vocal coach. So what once now was like sort of casual acquaintance, we were spending a lot more time together, and thanks to my grandmother as well. And then at about, I think I was about 11. And I remember she called me in my living room in Westerly, Rhode Island at like 10 o'clock at night. And she was like, "Hey, baby, I'm going on the road next month. And do you want to be my opening act? I have some ideas." And I went, "Yeah, sure. What's an opening act?" I didn't know what it was. What's an opening act? And that was it. That was the start of it. And so from that point forward, for about a little over 10 years, I was her on again, off again opening act whenever she needed to throw in an opening act on tour.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Wow.
And then she directed my first solo show, nightclub act, if you want to call it, when I at Don't Tell Mama the following year. So I was about 12, and she directed the entire thing for me. And she came to it, and this was in that side room that's now the restaurant. Remember, it was the bigger room on the side. And she came to every show that I did there, and all sort of Birdland and Iridium and all that stuff. And she was just like a real life Auntie Mame to me, is a real life Auntie Mame to me.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I know.
Yeah, well, this is the time where we start. I could spend 90 minutes with each one of you, and we would never run out. But I don't know if it would be as much fun, because having all of you together has been a wonderful chemistry too. I do want to ask you what each one of you is working on now towards the future. I know some of these things. Lisa, you mentioned Tor. You've written a couple of musicals together, and one of them was supposed to go to Portland.
It's so weird. I knew you were going to do that. He's show bombing us, you guys.
That's all right. That's all right.
I needed the spotlight, Dave. I needed it.
Well, we all do, and that's why we're all here in these little boxes right now. Right. In people's homes. You guys wrote a show that was going to go to Portland this year, right?
It's going now. They pushed it to January 22.
It's a year later.
I saw that it's something that might have some roles for older people. We got two hands up here.
All right.
Help the senior citizens. That's
it's called Senior Living.
Yeah.
It's a play about people dying to live.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I did a Tom Stoppard play there a few years back, and it was a lovely place to work. I was very excited that you guys were doing an original musical there. So, so you say it is on, and you guys are on the schedule for next year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last January, but now it's going to be this January for obvious reasons. And the first incarnation was at Cherry Lane. Judy Ivey directed it, the actress.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then we had amazing people. We didn't have Karen, so we didn't have every amazing person, but we had a lot of amazing people, like Mary Beth Peel.
Oh,
and she was terrific.
Deborah Jo Rupp,
David Wohl.
It was
Zach Grenier. It was the cast was ridiculous, and so then Portland picked it up, which we're very grateful for, and so it's going in January, and I think they're casting mostly out of New York, right?
Yeah, it'll all be out of New York.
It's cool because it's there's a lot of talk about underrepresented groups on stages, right? And it's all correct, but they never talk about older people. They never talk. Oh, there's not enough older people aren't represented. Well, guess what? Older people are the audience of Broadway, and so it feels weird not to be able to see. I was going to say ourselves, and I think I can. I'm over 50 on the stage, and so that it wasn't the reason we wrote it, but it's a nice thing to be able to say.
Well, no, that's a very astute observation, and it certainly gives all of us who are over 45, hope for that we're going to have work next year. When this pandemic hit, I had a lot of projects fall, and I thought maybe this will be the last time I stand on a stage. And now to hear about new projects, that's what I'm available in January. Just let you know.
I love it.
So we already got your agent's information, Karen. We'll need a
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna.
In January 2020. Wait. Yeah. That looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, let me check.
It looks good for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's terrific. I think
congratulations.
Several things you're doing. Karen, you have a regular going on thing online now, 2 different platforms.
Yeah. Well, I did Facebook and YouTube every Thursday at 5 p.m. Mine was out of boredom that I just decided I needed to be singing, doing something. And so I also needed to learn how to stream, and do self-tapes, and which is all new to me. So I decided to do this, and I've actually kind of enjoyed it. I was thinking of stopping for a while because it seems like, live performance is kind of coming back. I know, Nicholas, you've been doing some live stuff, and I've been hesitant, but I'm ready to. I just did something yesterday. Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Mason's making music. Who doesn't like that MMM thing? Yeah. And, but yesterday I did a streaming benefit, but singing with a live piano, I got to say, there's nothing like it. And I have missed that for the past year. And so I'm looking forward to it, but got all kinds of things. I got a new CD we're working on, and doing a show called Unfinished Business, which I did at Nymph and went well, but then it needed some work, and then, all life gets in the way. So there's all kinds of stuff. I'm just trying to keep myself, busy and occupied and still relatively relevant.
And, it's a pleasure to hear that all of you have something that you've got in the hopper. Every week when I ask this question, if it's performers, especially theater performers, that lump in the throat that happens when you say, if you don't have 12 projects lined up, you think, what am I going to say? But everybody has a good, exciting answer, and we're all looking forward. And so that's wonderful. That's what we do.
Diversity is everything.
The first thing that opened up after the Blitz in London was the theaters. Look how quickly we came back from 9/11. I know this is completely different, but boy, are people going to be hungry for it now.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think that we're going to have learned a lot during this period of what makes the essentials of live theater more important than, there's no substitute. It's like what Karen was saying, I was so envious of Nicholas being able to sit there at a piano with someone like Mike Brady and just sing. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it.
I'm spoiled because that's what this guy does for me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm almost convinced I played for Karen at the Duplex back in the day.
Possible.
Because I saw that you sang there a lot.
I did, but I worked with a gentleman named Brian Lasser.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He was my music director for 16 years. So we may have done something on, like a one-off type of thing. But Brian, I don't think there was ever a time that, would have been fun to sing together. Maybe sometime in the future.
Well, there's
maybe
still
in
time.
January.
Yeah, that's right. We're not dead yet, right? Yeah.
I hold the distinction, David, by the way, of being, I believe, the only straight piano player at the Duplex in all of the 90s.
I think we're going to get some blowback somewhere.
Yeah. Should I leave? I should leave.
Well, thank you for that guest appearance by Tor Hines.
That was lovely.
We were hoping he might pop it. You know, Lisa, he actually was pacing back and forth a couple of times before.
I know, I can't hide him.
No,
He's a hard one to hide.
he was waiting for the most opportune
So
moment, and he found it. So
He did.
I
You can count on that.
So cute.
So is there anything else you guys want to mention that's coming up? Lisa, you just dropped a new video this week, or what?
So yeah, we have one coming out this week. We have a partnership. Ironically, it's so bizarre. There's a song on my album that's sort of a country crossover, like a soul country thing. And so we got picked up by a country feature from a country station that's going to premiere it on Twitter. And it'll be on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put all this stuff out, but it's coming out on Thursday. So that song is, it's going to be, which one is song? What song is that? I forgot.
Still hanging on.
Still hanging on. It's still hanging on.
Well, you know, from opera to musical comedy to soul to country and Western, have you handled any hip hop lately or anything
In fact,
else?
I did. There's a video out of my interpretation playing the uke of Eminem's "I'm Not Afraid." So
Never
check that out. Yeah. So the album is out on all the platforms. You can get it on Spotify, on Amazon. You can get it on Apple Music. You do all the things. I even have a vinyl. We cut some limited vinyl. Just hit me up direct on all of the platforms. I live on Instagram Monday through Friday. I mean, I do.
And there's all the info. I'm distracted. I'm reading it. I can't do two things at once. And Nicholas, what about you? What you?
Well, I've just released a new record, and it's called Act One, and it celebrates. Oh, look at that! It's all there. How do you have that already?
I didn't get that.
How did you know?
Yes, you did. You were talking.
Okay.
See, there it is. See that right there. No, but that's good that you knew I was going to say that. It's brand new. It just came out last month, and it's a retrospective. So it takes you back about the last 25 years. So there's a recording on there of me at 4.5, and then it goes chronologically. You get to sort of hear me age. You know,
I have never heard an album like it. It is fabulous.
It's really fun, and I mean, Liza's got an appearance on it. We have got duets with Jane Monheit and Norm Lewis. And even Tom Selleck makes a singing debut.
It is amazing because you hear his voice, how it's changed over the years. He went from a toddler practically to what he sounds like now. And it's all very entertaining, very touching. And
it's very, very fun. And the booklet's nice too. The booklet is a good, it looks like a scrapbook. So there's pictures of all sorts of stuff throughout the years. And it's brand new, released on Club 44 Records out of here in Nashville. That's why I'm here. We're working on our next one, which is very exciting, But so it's out just like Lisa's. It's everywhere. It's on all the platforms where people can find music, and I'm just so happy it's out there.
Well, anybody who listens to it will be happy too. We previewed it before you were officially booked on this show, and I just couldn't wait to have you on because it's as I say, I've never heard anything like it. Nobody else has done something like, even if they've done a retrospective of their career, it doesn't quite go back to being practically a toddler. It's really I
sort of stole a little idea from the Barbra Streisand Timeless album, where she does a duet with herself at like 13, and so I don't sing with myself, but I started it off one track of me at 4.5, and then we revamp it. It's There's No Business Like Show Business, and it's all peppy, and then we, with a brand new Mike Renzi arrangement, it just swings like killer. So it was fun, really fun to put together, and fun to go down memory lane. But what else was I going to do during quarantine? Just sit there. I figured, let me get to work and do something.
Yeah.
How long have you and Mike worked together?
It's 12 years now. Wow. This year is 12 years. We met at a pizza place at like 3 a.m. and he goes, Nicholas, if you ever need someone to play for you, I'll play for you. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. This guy's going to play for me. Is he out of his mind? So I called his bluff. I had a gig that was like, it paid $100. It was a 4-hour job, and he had to bring his own piano. And I said, do you want to do it? I was 17 and bold, and he went, sure, I'll be there. And he's never left since. And it's like, it's just such a joy to work with him. He's such a, genius.
I'm sure he says the same about you.
Well, I want to say that about the both of you. I mean, Lisa, I'm a new fan of yours.
Yeah,
I love that song. I wish you all the success on that record, and that music video is fun. And Karen, I just think you're just the top. I mean, I think the last time I saw you was Love Never Dies, and I have such hope that that's going to come back someday in some incarnation with you, starring brightly in it as you did.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm a big Pat fan too, guys. I'm so excited to have done that.
This is I know. It's like now I get to
fun.
Go down the rabbit hole on both of you.
When can we play again? I want to play again.
Yeah.
You know what? Anytime, and I'll tell you, that's the thing that gives me so much pleasure is bringing people together. And Nicholas, what you said about asking Mike to play for you, I am so happy that we took the leap and asked each one of you to do this, because sometimes you have to open your mouth and just say, will they? Because we're all working for nothing here. And but I could have spent 90 minutes with each one of you. You're so exciting and so talented. And I've been a fan of yours since we first met, and cried into our beer on tour. So yeah, it's been a very special treat for me today, and I'm sure for our audience. I want to say that along the lines that we don't get any remuneration for this, we do ask every week that our viewers think about donating to the Actors Fund. We haven't seen the end of this yet, but the Actors Fund is helping an awful lot of people in show business get through these very difficult times. And I'd also like to invite any theater professionals out there who want to join in the fun, as it's obvious that we had today fun here. Please contact me at beyondthegreenroom@gmail.com, because we'll try to get a group together that matches as well as these folks, and have some more fun time on Sunday. I'm going to keep up with this show as long as I possibly can. Yeah. And I'm thinking that even after the pandemic, this might be a good forum for all of us to, now that we've, as Karen said, embraced the internet experience and doing our own self-tapes and all of that. So I also want to tell you all that I am not going to be on Beyond the Green Room next week. We're taking a 1-week hiatus, which we almost never do. And the reason is, this is my big commercial for everybody to have. If you have the opportunity, please go and get your vaccination, because that's what I'm getting on Saturday.
Yay.
And if I feel a little tired on Sunday, I don't want to be letting that out for all to see. But I promise you, the following week, I will tell you how easy and pleasant it was, and how rejuvenated I feel and optimistic. So, and look for our announcement of our guests for April 4th coming up this week. So we're about to do our playoff, and our playoff today is, as Nicholas quoted, there is no business like show business. Thank you all for joining me. I love you all, and let's do it again.
Yeah, ditto.
Thank you so much for having us.
Big hugs.
My pleasure.